Hi, this is 365801 and I'm going to be doing some yen press reviews. Um, I created an account on Edelweiss. Now I haven't used Edelweiss before. I have used NetGalley and also BookBug or Booksprout. That was it, Booksprout. I was like, which one? But I've never used Edelweiss, and I didn't even really know if I could do it. So I thought I would give it a go and try and see if I could get something, if there was anything interesting worth getting hold of. And they do have yen press, and I didn't know the yen press was on Edelweiss, on UK. So I did make an account, and I did get um approval for a particular book, and that is My Mate is a Feline Gentleman. So I'm going to give that a wee read and see what I think. So I got a copy of this. I actually ended up reading it on the website. There's a way you can get it downloaded for your Kindle, but it didn't work for me. Sometimes that happens with NetGalley as well. You get things that kind of, it's not like it's corrupted, but my Kindle app on my phone is pretty up to date, but my one on my iPad is not. But it didn't matter, either one, they didn't quite work properly. So the images weren't showing on the Kindle. But I did manage to get a like a PDF, but that can only be shown through Adobe, and so it was okay, but it was a bit small. So I ended up just using the Edelweiss website to read it, and that was perfectly fine, and it was a good size and really easy to use. So good job, Edelweiss. Yen Press. My Mate is a Feline Gentleman. As you can see, it's coming out in July. So this is an early one. I have given it a 7 overall. And I do quite like the way that Edelweiss has everything set up. So good job on that in terms of giving your review. So I've already written it and I've already submitted it. But I'm just here to tell you, I quite liked it. It's a 7, which is not perfect, but it's perfectly good. What it is only 178 pages. So I'm going to let you know it's a little bit lacking in depth, which I don't think is possible for a story that is, it's not possible to have a really in-depth, lovely, emotional, hard-hitting kind of story in less than 178 pages, So for me, it's perfectly serviceable for what it is. It's Amigaverse, so if you're not an Amigaverse fan, then be aware of that. And it's also got beasts, beast characters, beast men, which if you're not a fan of that, if you're not a furry fan, we are combining the two. So furries, welcome. Also, it's historically set. Obviously, it's a fantasy historical setting, but it is set in either the Meiji Taisho era, I don't know which one, but I'm here for any historical setting. I'm here for furries. I'm okay for furries. This is a furry safe zone, and I, of course, am a fan of Amigaverse. So this is ticking lots of boxes for me. I love it. It's great. It follows Toshiro, who has been brought into like a brothel by his mother. He's an Amiga, so he gets treated very badly. So content trigger warnings for not even dubious consent, just non-consent. This is kind of the way of Amigaverse stories, so if you are aware of them, that's kind of thing. So be aware if you are not, that sometimes happens in Amigaverse. Anyway, My Mate is a Feline Gentleman kind of starts with Toshiro getting given to one of these beast men, this particular one, Alex, who is a diplomat, and so he has to now live with this diplomat. He's tasked with the seduction of Alex, but also to work as his assistant or his servant in any way that he's needed. And of course, Alex is completely unaware of the fact that he's supposed to seduce him, and he doesn't even notice that he's an Amiga at first. And so they kind of just get along quite nicely until it becomes more obvious that that's the case. There is the introduction of a side character, Rodney, and Toshiro's former master. I keep wanting to say it's Asan. I can never remember the name of the man where he used to live. It begins with a name. Um, but I enjoyed those characters, the side characters, more I think than I enjoyed the main characters. And I wanted to have more of them, but with only 178 pages, you don't really get that. So yeah, I would say it's a good solid little read, but it doesn't have a number 1 written anywhere. And when I checked on Bakamanga updates, because you know I was gonna, it's actually a 3-volume series. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Because this first volume is perfectly fine, but you could definitely have more volumes of this. And you could definitely have one of those full volumes, or even the next 2 being Rodney's story, or Rodney and the other main characters, the other side characters' story, because I think those 2 would be great together. So yeah, it's a little bit surface, but fairly enjoyable. And of course, it's Omegaverse, so I'm quite happy to take any Omegaverse that we're getting. And especially because it's historical and there's a furry involved. Love it! Give us more of these. So I do hope Yen Press decide to print the other 2 volumes. I hope they've got the license for them. If they don't, this is fine for what it is, but it does remind me of their other Omegaverse title, I've Become an Omega Today, which was also perfectly good and perfectly fine and a lovely little story, but very short and a little bit surface level. So this feels like a historical, whereas that one's contemporary. And they're both the same length, they're both 178 pages. So take that for what it will be. Yeah, so this was My Mate is a Feline Gentleman and my very first Edelweiss title. I feel very good. Thank you, Yen Press. I'm very happy about that. I will definitely be picking this up in physical when I can get it for a good price, and of course when it's actually released in the UK. It's not technically released yet, so I'm very, very pleased and privileged to be able to get an advanced e-copy. Maybe I can get some more Yen Press titles, or even some other things to read on Edelweiss. I'm going to have to check it out and see what I'm doing right, what I need to do, and what I need to improve. And I don't see anywhere for me to put that I have a YouTube channel or anything, so hopefully that's something I can navigate and find out the more I use it. So I've just finished reading Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. I made my dinner. It is like a carbonara and I had some green beans. So I was like, I need some veg in there. And then I spotted a couple of cats on my window. So just staring in at me. It was like The Birds, but with cats. I don't know why I'm like a cat lady. I'm like a proper old cat lady. Anyway, so I have been gifted to read, which I'm very grateful, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. This is by, I have to get it right, Yozorano Udon? Yeah, so the mangaka, the artist, is Yozorano Udon. And the original story is by Miri Mikawa, but the character design for the light novels that Miri Mikawa did was originally by Aki. So this is Yen Press. I don't think it's out yet. It might be out soon. I need to check the dates. Oh no, April 2023. So it's already out. There you go. So you can get this. Brilliant. Sometimes you can tell, I'm just saying, sometimes you can tell that something is an adaptation of a light novel and sometimes you can't. And when you look at this art style on the front, that's very Aki-like. But if I think I was to go to Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, the light novel versions that Yen Press sell, because I'm pretty sure they do, it's Aki artwork. So when they were originally light novel published, Aki did the artwork for it, but then when the manga adaptation was needed, they got someone else to do the actual mangaka work. So they took Aki's character designs and made the characters from the story. So Aki has very little to do with this other than the fact that she was the one that did the original character designs. So I'm like, good, Aki, you stay out of it. But at the same time, I do want to always big up anything that Aki has anything to do with. So, to be fair, I think the light novel might have been a little bit better as a choice if there was a choice between the two. If you don't enjoy light novels, then yes, get this manga version because it's a perfectly solid job. But I do think you'll probably lose a lot of nuance and depth and some explanations and things like that from it being a manga version rather than the light novel. I do think that in this particular instance, there were moments when I thought, oh, this is moving fast, or oh, they're suddenly over here, or oh, I don't quite understand that kind of thing. And that sometimes happens with adaptations. And the great thing about Yen Press is they actually give you the choice a lot of the time. Sometimes you don't get the choice, sometimes you do. And with this one, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, you are actually given the opportunity to get a manga version or the light novel. And that's the same with The White Cat's Revenge as Plotted from the Dragon King's Lap. You can get the Aki version. So that's probably why she was too busy doing that one. But yeah, I chose this and asked for a copy because it was originally Aki's artwork or her character design. So yeah, I do need to write a review for this on Edelweiss. I also think that the Edelweiss reader, I tried doing it on here instead of on my laptop because my laptop's pretty big, but I find that like I don't know if I've said in another video, my eyes are not what they were. I'm getting old, and so trying to read things on a screen, even if it's a foot in front of me, is harder. And with this, I can make things bigger and stuff. So, but it was kind of slow, and every time like I would read 2 or 3 pages, and then the page wouldn't load, and I'd have to reload the whole page rather than just use the reader. So the reader isn't perfect, but it's still better than me trying to read something on my laptop. Woe is me. Technology isn't my friend this week. But yeah, this was great. I should probably tell you a bit about it. So we follow Anne, who is she wants to be a sugar master, someone who creates candy sculptures from sugar. So it's like sponge sugar type thing. And unfortunately, she's just lost her mother, who was her traveling companion. And so she wants to make it to the capital of this country to become a master sugar artist. And unfortunately, she's the fastest way to get there is by a road that is very dangerous, and so she needs to have a traveling companion to help and support her. So she kind of needs a bodyguard, and she can't get any mercenaries or anyone like that. So she ends up hiring or purchasing, which is a little bit, I was like, oof, this is not good. Purchasing a warrior fairy. Now, all these fairies exist in this land that actually they were in charge of the land before the humans took over. And if you want to have full control over a fairy, you need to take off one of their wings and keep it. And once you have that wing, then you can control the fairy. So yeah, she buys this fairy and she keeps the wing, but she says to the fairy, I will give it back to you when we get to the capital, and you can be free. So he is called, is it Chael? Fen Chael? It's a weird one. But he's a fairy that has come from obsidian, so he's very strong and sharp, and kind of takes no nonsense from anyone. I like him. He's a great character. He's very well drawn as well. I like the character design. I do think, unfortunately, when it comes to some of these kinds of stories, the female characters don't always come across in the best way. And I don't know if it's because of the language or what was chosen to be in the adaptation, but Anne kind of feels like a bit of an idiot. And I hate stupid female characters. I didn't hate this though. I don't like naive or yeah, I don't like it when female characters are kind of presented in this way. But she has endearing qualities. But I didn't warm to her. I certainly warmed to her captive that she has enslaved by retaining his wing. So yeah. She's supposed to be like someone with a good heart and everything, and you know that that's the case. But at the same time, it's not great. But she acknowledges that as well. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. This wasn't a perfect story. This wasn't a perfect adaptation. It's probably a 3-star for me, and that's maybe because it's not Aki's artwork as well. Because as soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't Aki's artwork. This is someone else's adaptation of an adaptation of an original work. It's kind of gone through a few lenses. That's not to say that it's not enjoyable. They're on their travels. They've encountered different people. They've encountered different dangers. They've had conversations. There's some mystery. There's some possible connection between Chael and her mother that is very, very heavily hinted at, and it leaves on a cliffhanger. A bit of a mystery. So I did think there were enjoyable parts to it, but overall it's not a huge success. It didn't strike me as being as enjoyable as, say, the White Cat's Revenge as plotted from the Dragon King's lap. And that might be due to the art style and the way that it's adapted. I'm not saying that Yosorano Udon didn't do a good job. They did a very serviceable job, but maybe not top tier. So yeah, maybe 3.5 stars for this one. And I've been approved for a few others. So once I've read some more Yen Press, I will get back to you. But I'm going to eat this because it's going to be cool enough now that I can just chomp down on it. Green beans. I really need something healthy because I just had one of those moments where I felt a little bit woozy. So I need some food. Good morning. This is my brunch because I didn't have breakfast. I'm having scrambled egg, ham, salad on a pita roll, and some iced coffee, which is really nice actually. Today's worked out well. I don't know what I did better, but I'm going to try and recreate that tomorrow. Anyway, I have now finished Manner of Death. This is by, the art is by Yukari Umemoto, or I should say the adaptation is by Yukari Umemoto, and the original novel is by Samon. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that one, because it is a Thai novel that was, I think, published around 2000, something like that. The drama, because there's a Thai BL drama, came out to 2020 as well. So this is an interesting exploration of how BL has been like a transmigrated. It is something that has been, it just kind of spread across the globe and then comes back and forth in waves and different means. So the media and the nationalities of the individuals, it's just so great, isn't it? Anyway, so the novel, Manner of Death by Samon, is written and a drama is produced. I'm assuming the novel was before the drama. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to check out dates exactly, but it's difficult to get hold of that information because it is a Thai story. Then a Japanese mangaka, who, by the way, this is their first manga and first serialization, Yukari Umemoto. So I don't know if that's a different pen name for someone else, but they are saying that this was their first one. They have adapted the novel into a manga form that was then published in Japanese, and then Yen Press picked this up, and they have now made an English version. So it really is kind of an interesting way that BL just moves around. I like seeing Japanese adaptations or Thai or Taiwanese adaptations, Korean adaptations of English works, just as much as I like seeing different ones from around the world, like Korean and stuff like that. Just being transformed and made available. I love that. It's great. I really do. So thanks, Empress, for that. This is a story of a coroner, Boon, who examines a body and discovers that it was most likely not a suicide, but in fact a murder. He then gets attacked in his home by a masked man and told that he has to rule the death as suicide instead of murder, or terrible things will happen to him and hit the people he knows and loves. So he gets attacked and he ends up in the hospital. And while he's in the hospital, his friend, who is a prosecutor, comes to see him, and he's, worried about him. And he says, okay, well, he tells him everything that's happened, even though he was told by the attacker not to tell anyone. So the prosecutor says, okay, I'll give you this extra phone that I have, because yours was taken, so that you can get a hold of me or you can get hold of other people. But the attacker said not to trust the police, so he's not sure what he should be doing. And then the prosecutor disappears. And so he's like, whoa, okay, this is really serious. So this becomes quite a serious story. The other human aspect of this is that this man, Boone, is gay. He knows he's gay. He had a relationship with someone when he was in school, but since then he's always looked for opportunities to have relationships with women as a sort of beard, as a way of hiding his sexuality, due to the abuse that he suffered when he was out. And so that's a whole aspect of it as well. So that's where the gay romance thing comes into it. He ends up trying to find the girl's boyfriend, who was the one who discovered the body. And so he tries to investigate in his own way, because he's afraid for the life of the prosecutor, his friend, but he's also afraid for himself and other people he knows and loves, and the people he works with and everything like that. Because of what this man has said. So it's kind of that kind of a story. It's like a murder mystery, thriller, suspense, gay romance. And I'm like, eat it up. Oh, perfect. I have been reading a lot more murder mysteries, or just mysteries in general. I love a mystery. I love things that are a little bit interesting and unique, and we don't get a lot of, if ever, murder mystery. It's something so rare in the BL genre, and yet gay romance there is more. Like my top read from last year was the Big Bad Wolf series, because every single book followed the two main characters and their investigations into like a missing person or mysterious deaths, that kind of thing. And I ate that up with a spoon like a big bowl of ice cream. Oh my god, I loved it. And it just kind of made me think, yeah, there's an aspect of a lot of the stories that I love that includes a mystery. Even if it's not a murder mystery, it's a, hey, what's going on? I want to know. And that kind of thing really appeals to me. So I really did enjoy Manner of Death. This is only the first volume though. It does say volume 1, be prepared to end on a point where you're like, huh? What? But yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. However, I do need to say this, and it's the same thing that I said with Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. It's an adaptation, and sometimes you can tell it's an adaptation, and sometimes you can't tell it's an adaptation. And this one, I know the mangaka said it was their very first manga, and I'm like, yeah, you can tell. The art style is fine. I don't mind anything to do with the art style. I don't think it's necessarily as consistent throughout as it probably could be. And I also don't think that the story flows in a way that is 100% manga like. So there are some people, you can usually tell if a work is an adaptation if there's two people on the cover, if there's two names or more than two names, you'll know that it's like a light novel and then an artist. Like with Sugar um Apple Fairy Tale, there was the original author of the light novel, then there was the character designed by Aki, and then you had the mangaka. In this one, you have just the mangaka who's adapting it and the original author. And then, of course, here you can see Emma Schumacher, who is the translator. So this is a story that's gone through multiple iterations. It's gone through multiple people's hands, and yet you need to come out with something at the end that is a product for the audience that it's being given to. And I don't think it's 100% successful in that. And I don't think it's the translator, because I do think that this is a very well translated work. Everything is really good. Yen Press, well done. Emma Schumacher, well done. This is great in terms of the language, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what the original Thai would be, but it made sense to me, and it made sense from it's gone from Thai to Japanese to English. I understand that, but it still made sense to me, English-wise, and I didn't see any errors in it. And I'm like, good, well done. Yen Price, well done. But this is still an adaptation, and I think it falls down in the mangaka. Sorry, Yukari Umemoto. It just doesn't flow in the best way. It feels like an adaptation. It feels like an adaptation. And if you know, you know. You know, if you read something, you're like, there's some context here I'm missing. Or, wow, that was an abrupt change. Or, hold on, isn't there supposed to be some time period? You know, like what happened? So I do think that once again, this is an adaptation, and it falls down on that side. So I can't give it a full 5 stars. What it made me want to do in the same case as the Sugar Apple Fairy Tale is read the original light novel, or the light novel as an adaptation, a translated version, because that's going to be as close to the original and I can enjoy the prose. I don't need to see pictures. I know I'm a huge PL manga fan. I have a massive collection, but I don't need to see the pictures to enjoy a good story. I do see that this is a way to make it more accessible to others though, and I did enjoy it. So I'm probably still going to give it, like Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, it's probably a 3.5 to 3.75, just because I enjoyed it, but it was lacking. And I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more if the adaptation had been smoother. Like, there are other people, I just read, just like a week or so ago, Castle Mango. Now, I don't know the original light novel of it. I don't need to, because the adaptation was so well done that it didn't feel like it was an adaptation. It just felt like two people who'd collaborated. When I read something by Eiki Eiki and Tai Shizao, I know that the two of them worked together to make that story. And that's, I think, the difference between someone who does a great adaptation, or if the original novelist or the original story writer has some idea about manga or has some input about the storyboards or something like that, where it becomes a collaboration and the two people work together, versus where it doesn't. I also read Deadlock earlier this year, which is an adaptation that failed miserably, and that was a Japanese light novel to a Japanese manga. So I can't say that it's a language barrier, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I think it really does depend on the competency of the mangaka to be able to create a manga versus just an adaptation. And that's the case with Deadlock. It was that mangaka's first foray into adaptation full-time to make a manga. It's this mangaka's, Yukari Umemoto's, first time as well. Whereas with Castle Mango, Muku Ogura is a mangaka in her own right and had already produced work and a lot of skill. So yeah, there's a difference there. So I really enjoyed this. I will certainly be picking up 100%. Obviously, it's a BL, it's murder mystery, and yeah, I'm gonna look forward to it. So I have to write a review for this, and the next thing I'm gonna be reading, I think, is going to be The Summer Hikaru Died, which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna eat my brunch first though. So it is 5:45. I've got a client coming over in about an hour and a half or something. So I'm having my dinner just now. It's on. I'll show you in a second. And I have just finished The Summer Hikaru Died. This is one of like the biggest anticipated, I think, titles. It's definitely got that not like other girls thing about it. Like not like this is not like other BL. It did, I think, come first place in the like BL awards in Japan. So it's definitely got a lot of hype around it before it comes out. So I was really excited to be able to get a copy digitally and read it before it's actually released, which is fantastic. So thank you so much, Year Press. I also want to say this is a really interesting title. Like, I think I know why now. Going into this, I didn't really know very much about it other than the fact that it was something like it wasn't a normal everyday BL, that it might have something to do with death, obviously, due to the title, but also that it might have something strange about it. And it definitely has that. It's definitely got that in terms of the art style as well. Like, you wouldn't read this and think, oh, that's a typical BL art style. It's not. And so yeah, it definitely lives up to the moniker, not like other BLs. But there's other things about it that are really interesting and unique. Especially the way that it's been lettered, I guess is the best way, for the sound effects. I won't show you the panel, but there's a particular panel which I thought was very sort of like atmospheric and disquieting. The fact that it's constant, the sounds of the cicadas in the summer is so prevalent, and it has so much atmosphere, and so there was definitely an attempt to portray that in the way that the sound effects were presented on the page. And at the time I was thinking, why are they using this font? Like, I was not impressed with the font. I was like, why are they using this font? It's making me like really look at the font. And I would rather look at the page and the image and the dialogue and things like that. But in my mind and my eyes just kept going to the font. And I realized, oh, this is on purpose, because I was like, this is a really weird font choice. So it stuck out. But it was the fact that it was because it was trying to build it. So I acknowledge that this isn't a choice. It wasn't just randomly, let's choose this font. And it wasn't just the font, it was the way that the font, the words were placed on the page, and the way that it was tilted and angled in line with the building, and yet like screaming down the page, like you like almost like binary code. It was really odd, but also gave you that weird like what's going kind of feeling that this manga has 100%. Anyway, I'm gonna go check on my dinner. I'll show you in a second and talk a little bit more, because this needs to be talked about. This definitely needs to be talked about. So I've got some lovely spicy noodles with some egg and ham and carrots and onion and things like that. And I've got some gyoza cooking at the moment, but it needs to kind of crisp at the bottom before I take it out. So yeah, let's talk about The Summer Hikaru Died. So this starts off quite quickly. You are introduced to two friends who are getting ice cream, and one of them turns around to the other one, Hikaru, and says, hey, you know that time 6 months ago when you went into the mountains and disappeared for a week? So are you really the real Hikaru? You're not, are you? Who are you? And it's like, 6 months? Dude, you were sitting on this for 6 months? And Hikaru, who is not Hikaru, kind of turns around and is like, what? But he doesn't deny it. He fully acknowledges he's not the real Hikaru.
And they explain it at the end, and I did think this was the case, that in the Japanese, when they're talking about the original Hikaru, they use the kanji. When anyone is talking to Hikaru and they think that he is the original Hikaru, they use the kanji for Hikaru, which means light. And when the main character is talking to Hikaru, he is Yoshiki. He used katakana for his name. So that is distinguishable within the Japanese, but it's not within the English. I think they could have done that. They could have used like italics or something like that, just as a means, but they don't need to because it's not quite the same, but it's as close as you're going to get, I think. Anyway, the rest of the manga is not actually very much going on. It's just a lot of atmosphere and tension and a little bit back and forth, and it's a lot to do with the internal feelings of the main character having to come to terms with the fact that their childhood friend that they've been with since they were, pre-primary is no longer alive. And yet there is someone there who has all of his memories and mannerisms and so I think this story is about grief, but also about the choices you make as people. It made me think of some comparisons, some great comparisons. Obviously, in Mushishi, there's definitely been stories in Mushishi where the Mushi have taken over the body of someone, and the person that is closest to them acknowledges that they are now no longer the real person, the same person, yet they continue to interact with them because having to say goodbye is heartbreaking. Or the person that they are now is acceptable to them as an entity to interact with. And it's a little bit like Natsume's Book of Friends, Natsume Yujincho. It has that same sort of feeling as well. So yeah, there's definitely some of my favorite supernatural stories with the sort of traditional Japanese culture elements that I love. This is definitely reminiscent of it. And so if you know that, Natsume Yujincho and Mushishi, they're big hitters in the manga world. So I can see why The Summer Hikaru Died resonates with a lot of readers, because they'll have read them and it has those same similar elements that make you think, oof, this is, you know the tone. If you understand and you've read them, then you'll understand and know the tone of this. It's not exactly a comfortable read, but it's also got a sense of homeliness to it as well. It's weird. Gosh, they're so noisy outside today. I've got the windows open today just because it's very hot. But all I can hear is like trains going past and things. Anyway, the other thing is that it made me think of people who interact with, like, people who get big cats for pets or who swim with sharks. It's like they know they're not humans with human feelings. They know that they're not safe with them. They know that they might have moments of comfort and they might have moments of pleasure and joy, and they might have a connection with these beings. But at any moment in time, they're going to get eaten. They're going to get eaten. They're going to get their face chomped off. And I think that's the kind of thing that certain people do. And I think this kind of is like what Yoshi's like as well. So yeah, this was brilliant. 100% grateful I've got a copy, that I was able to read it. I'm definitely going to be buying a physical as soon as I can get it for a good price. Definitely 100%. Yen price is a little bit pricey, but I am in the UK anyway. But yeah, I'll be on the lookout for a good price for this ASAP, because it is a really interesting one. It's really weird, and it's only volume 1, and I want to know what happens next. Like I said, the art style is not your usual BL fare, but I like that because it does give that sense of, is this even BL? And it kind of is, because the feelings of the two main characters are alluded to but never explicitly stated, and you never know if it's the Hikaru from the past or the Hikaru from the now, and whether or not that there is something between them. And yet at the same time, it's like, should there be? You're gonna get your face eaten off, dude. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, this is a really, really good one. I really enjoyed it. I have one more thing to read from. I'll need to write the review, but I have one more thing to read, and that is a prose. It's a light novel, and it's one I'm super excited about because I didn't even know this was coming out, and I think there's a manga version as well. And this is Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture, Volume 1, and it's folklore studies. So you know I'm gonna love it, folklore studies. So I'm gonna have this give this a wee read. I don't know how long it is. 208 pages of prose. So maybe I'll get this done. So I'll probably talk to you in a day or two once I've had a good read of it. And I had my noodles, which are now a little bit soggy. Okay, I'm definitely gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna get my gyoza as well. There we go. They came out perfect, didn't they? They look great. So yeah, I'll get my noodles and my gyoza stuck in and get a wee read of Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. But I think I might watch something because I think Kayla from Books and Lala have a video up just now, so I'll give that a wee watch while I'm having my dinner. Hopefully I won't spill anything. I'm wearing a white top, so I can maybe get a bib. So, sorry if you can hear lots of loud noises in the background. This is, for some strange reason, the day when they are doing some tree stuff. I don't know why. They've been doing it all morning, so it's really noisy. Anyway, this just arrived. So I'm going to cut this open first and we'll see what I've got. There we go. There's two things in here. Let's start with the smaller thing first. Oh, or not. It's like past the parcel. Okay, let's see what I got. Ja-ja. Oh, this is still in its plastic. I was not expecting that. It did say like new. It didn't say it was new. So I got this, I think, for about £5, something like that. I need to check exactly. But yeah, this is Don't Be Cruel Volume 11. It's fairly new, as you can see. The latest volume, which I haven't got, so I'll add this up, which means I'm up to date, which is brilliant. I really like that. Yonezo Nekota. This is a series I've been collecting since it came out. It's just one of those ones that I do enjoy because Maya is hot. It didn't start well, but at least the mangaka addressed that issue within this story, because that doesn't always get addressed. So it's like trying to not be as toxic as it has been in the past. So yeah, this is them. I think they were moving into an apartment or something, or Maya was anyway. I think that was the whole point. He was saving up to get an apartment and not having to live where he was living because he got kicked out for being in a relationship with Nemugasa, which I think is terrible, but there you go. So yeah, I'm very excited. I can take this plastic off and read this. Maybe give volume 10 a wee reread before that. But yeah, very happy about that. Let's have a look then at what else I got. Oh, I'm excited. Is it in good condition? Oh, it's not in bad nick. This is pretty good. I think I also got this for about £5. It's not perfectly brand new, but it is in like new condition, which is pretty good. Someone's here. There we go. So there's a little bit of marking, but it is In Other Lands by Sarah Rees Brennan. Hardback for £5. Oh, I knew if I just waited. And look at that, shiny. I did think, oh, I'll have to buy a paperback version, and it's like £11 or £12, something like that. But I did spot this one for about £5, something like that. I think it was, and I might have got a reduced amount as well with a voucher. But very, very happy. This is one of the best things I've read this year. It's definitely vying for the top book that I read this year. I'm not too sure if anyone's going to beat it. I do want to read it, or reread it, I should say, and do a nice marking it and highlighting and annotation. That's the word I'm looking for. I would like to annotate it. But now I've got this lovely hardback copy. I was like, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I want a paperback version to do that too. So yeah, these are the main characters. Elliot, who is a disaster bisexual, who I love him so much. And Serene, oh, and Loser. as soon as the surfer dude. Oh, just this is, I've not talked about it enough. How much I love this from January. I read this first chapter, or maybe it wasn't even a full chapter, I don't know, but they have it like as part of, instead of a synopsis, they just have this first chapter or part of the first chapter on Amazon. And so I did read that and was like, oh, okay, I just need to buy this then. So I got it digitally. So I'm so happy. Very happy to have this. And I'm very thankful to Vinny for the recommendation as part of my 12 and 12. So yeah, this is by far the best thing I've had recommended to me in a while. I didn't know, just a bit like Carry On last year. It was like I didn't really know anything about it, and I just went in and absolutely loved it. And In Other Lands is for me, it's very similar to the way that I had an emotional reaction to Carry On and In Other Lands. They're very similar in the way that they captured my heart, and that there's lines in it which are just funny and hilarious and nonsensical, and I know someone said there was no plot, but it covers his life when he's from like age 13 to age 17 or 18, something like that. And then there's the extra as well that you can read. So, very good purchases. A really great manga that I love, and a new book that I absolutely love. And I think I will try and see if I can get a paperback copy and then annotate that one and enjoy myself, like slowly and quietly going through it all and highlighting and taking out quotes and things that I really enjoy, because it definitely deserves a reread. Anyway, a little bit of a, this is what I bought again. Yeah, but which haul will this be in? Who knows? So it's another day, and it's very windy, so you might hear my blinds flapping around. And I am 30% into Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. There was like a little extra kind of mini chapter thing at the start of before chapter 1, The Neighbor Who Shouldn't Exist, and I'm like, okay, now I know why it's called this. Anyway, it is, what am I on? I'm on page 70. Oh, that seems so bright and shiny. So yeah, we have been introduced to Naoya Fukamachi, who is kind of the main narrator of this chapter. And he has just started at Seiwa University, and he needed some extra credits as a first year. So he took some general courses, and one of the courses he took was folklore studies. And it turns out that it's an incredibly popular course, because the associate professor who takes it has been on television talking about supernatural things and folklore and urban legends and things like that. So he's kind of a minor celebrity. It also helps that he's very attractive and good looking, of course. And it just so happens that Naoya also has reason to believe in maybe some things of a supernatural being. So this has definitely got the supernatural thing going around. But Takatsuki Akira is very much a researcher of folklore, folk tales, customs, traditions, and anything that might have some sort of supernatural origin, and any kind of stories and things like that. So he ends up meeting Naoya through his website. So he's doing research, and he has a website where people can log in and put down a story, so submit a story of some sort of folk tale or folklore, or some sort of strange or supernatural thing that happened to them or someone they know, something that is connected to them. So not something that they've just heard on the internet, not an urban legend that they don't know anything about, but something that has a tangible connection to them, so that he can then investigate it. And it just so happens that for extra credit, now you wrote down a story, and it was the story of, but not exactly the story that was written at the beginning of the story, this book. And you're like, oh, okay, so that was the boy, got ya. So Naoya is the child who had some sort of thing happen when he was younger that now means that he is is more in tune, maybe, with I don't know how to say it without giving any spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I don't want to. Anyway, so they end up meeting and chatting, and Takatsuki is always referred to as Takatsuki because the person who's narrating it is Naoya. So Naoya is referred to as Naoya, but Takatsuki gets given his last name. It's just one of those things. Anyway, so Takatsuki asks him to be his assistant while he goes off and does investigations. And this is just peak made for me. The story is perfect. It has those folklore, folk tales, supernatural, slightly spooky mysteries. It has that feeling of, the investigator and his sidekick. It's got that sort of thing, the detective or something like that. It's got that genius side of things as well. Someone who's a little bit more intelligent than others, or has more awareness or insight into something. And it's also, two guys who are thrown together to work, probably eventually developing feelings for one another. It's got that, monster of the week, the mystery of the week type situation. So this first chapter, I'm sure, is just one story. So I think, because I haven't read Julia Richard, I think it has that shade of it. I've watched the anime, so it had that kind of element, but also The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, which is also chef's kiss perfect for me. So this very much feels like a cross between Julia Richard and The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window. The two of them together, and this is what you get. And I'm loving it. I need to go back though. I'm at page 70, but I need to go back to show a couple of things. I think it was page 58. This will become relevant in a second. It's one of those things about BL. I don't know what it is. Hold on a second. I'm going to see if I can clean this screen or something. Is that better? It is better, isn't it? Yeah, here it is. The 34-year-old could not read the room. He looked more and more like a golden retriever Naoya had owned years before. He was just like a dog, tail wagging and eyes sparkling, standing in front of his favourite toy. Now, if that doesn't scream BL to you, then you've obviously not read any BL, because the reference to a pet that someone had when they were younger and how that other character resembles their pet is just such a BL thing. And it's quite funny because I've just been making an announcement video, so that will be relevant. There was also another thing, and I think this is it here, which I should have included, but now I'm like, that would have been good. Here, he's telling her to let go of the lady's hand. Once again, saying that he looks like the dog. And then he says, ugh, enough already. Hurry up and let her go and look around you. Don't shout inside the shop. There's so many customers in. So he's holding on to someone that he shouldn't be. And then I think it's this bit here. When we go to page 60. Yeah, this is the other thing that happens in BL a lot. It's not okay to grab a woman's hand like that the first time you meet her. I mean, what are you thinking, grabbing her hand with such familiarity? Are you an American? Um, and then he's like, hug culture hasn't caught on in Japan yet. You'd be labeled a pervert. So it's the whole thing about like too much physical contact, hugging and touching is such an American thing. It's not a foreigner thing. It's an American thing, which makes me feel good because I'm not American. So anyone who's not American is like, yeah, but no, it's like a foreign thing. But for some reason in Japan, they always label it as American because they equate any white foreigner as American, and I think that's very much a historical thing, due to your history. But also, it's just one of those funny things like shrugging is not seen as in the UK. If someone's overly shrugging, it's seen as French because it's like, oh, what can you do? Nothing about it, blah blah. It's that whole that sort of throwaway attitude. In the UK, it's seen as being very French, whereas in Japan, that kind of shrugging about something is also seen as American. So it seems unfortunate that any any character trait or any kind of gesture that doesn't sit perfectly aligned with Japanese cultural norms is labeled as American. I feel very sorry for the Americans out there who are like, I don't like hugging either. Stop touching me. But yeah, this is just the second thing in very quick succession, which are like staples within BL, because if you're a very huggy, touchy-feely type person, that leads to contact, that leads to an intimacy, that leads to a relationship type thing. So that happens quite a lot in BL too. So these are the two things that I think are specifically BL related. I would love to know if they are like something that comes up in other manga or other media, but they definitely come up in BL a lot. Anyway, I am 30% of the way in to Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture, and I'm loving it. It's very good. But I am also, what was it, page 70? Very impressed with the translation and the way that the story flows. There's elements of it that feel very much light novel-y, or feel like for a certain age range, it feels perfectly acceptable to be able to read this. So I would say this is more like a young adult type tone. I don't think that it's particularly sophisticated in the language used, but it's very competent. And I like the way they've used bolding, italicized, that kind of thing. They're using the font, they're using things to make the story more interesting, appealing, and to highlight specific things. I don't want to go into it because I don't want to spoil this, because so far I'm loving it. But it is midday and I need some food, because I've just been hanging out in here in the kind of cool dark because it's still warm and a bit muggy. But the wind's picked up, so hopefully that'll blow away a few of the cobwebs. Anyway, I will check in when I've read a little bit more. Might be tomorrow, might be the next day, I don't know. But I'll check in with you when I've read a bit more of this story. I'm loving it so far. This is great. I definitely need to get a physical copy. So, I'm kind of in a bit of a rush. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was going to stay today at home and then go in to the city tomorrow. But the thing that I thought was going to take a lot longer today actually has taken about a third of the time. So I actually do have time to go in today. It's probably not the best idea, but I would rather just get it done. I need to pick up new glasses because I'm an old lady and my eyesight is failing. But I have finished chapter 2 of Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. And if we look at the table of contents, the second one was The Girl Who Spits Up Needles. So I'm now on to A House to Another World. So yeah, this is very much like you get this chapter. It's about a mystery. Is the mystery supernatural or is the mystery human based and it needs to be discovered? So this is what's going on. there was a bit more of a connection between the two characters, Naoya and Akira, Fukumachi, Naoya Fukumachi, and there seems to be a closer connection between the two at the end of this second chapter, and the mystery was solved. The second mystery, I mean, the first mystery was a little bit more like, I wonder what's going on. This first mystery was much more interesting. The second mystery, no, I was like, called it, nailed it. It's so obvious, it's ridiculous. So, but I don't think that's the whole point of the second chapter. I think the second chapter is to show that there is a closer connection. Well, even the first one I knew who was. Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious. They can't tell us. Anyway, I don't know if this is all about mysteries. I love mysteries, but I don't know if this is necessarily about, hey, can you solve these mysteries? As much as it is, hey, these two people are gradually getting closer and, having a greater connection. And actually, there are some mysteries within those two individuals. So, Akira Takatsuki and Naoya Fukumachi, they both have mysteries to solve themselves. And so these other mysteries are kind of like, meh, all right then. And it's just as a tool to get their connection to be closer. Anyway, I have one more chapter to read. I don't know if I'll be able to take this with me because I kind of need my internet, my Wi-Fi to read it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to. I could maybe take my phone with me and read it that way. We shall see, because I'd like to read some while I'm on the bus into the city. And I need to go in about 5 minutes. So I've got my lip balm. This stuff I found in Boots. It's the unscented one. I quite like the one that smells like and feels tingly, but I'm actually loving this unscented one because I don't really like the ones that have flavours and scents. They tend to dry out my lips. This one actually doesn't, and I'm really pleased about that. So this is just like normal, no flavour, no scent. And because it was special, it was like they only had 3 left, and they were more than half the price of the normal ones. And so I managed to pick up 2. I wanted to leave 1 for someone else. But yeah, you know how you always buy these and you're like, then you lose them and then you find another one and you find another one. You've got all these bags everywhere with things, and they just like, you end up having like 10 in multiple places, but you can never find them when you need them. Anyway, Burt's Bees, that's what I've got. I will check in with you probably when I'm back and when maybe I've read some more of this. I've only got 77% done, so I've only got like 23% to go. That's very slow maths for me. Anyway, I will check in when I have finished, and I think that will be the last thing we read for this vlog. So I've gone to Vision Express. I've got some new glasses, so I'm wearing them. These are my old ones. It is weird. I went to B&Q and I got some weed fabric to stop the weeds from growing in my garden, and I popped into Greg's. So I'm gonna have a wee sausage roll and then probably meet up with some family and then head on home. So good morning, it is the next day. I got back quite, well, not late, but in the evening, and I was kind of tired and I needed a little snack, not anything big. And my glasses were a bit sore on my head and a bit strong, so yeah, I was very tired by the time I got home and got ready for bed and stuff like that. Anyway, let's talk about this, shall we? This is chapter 3. I did get a bit of it read yesterday and then last night before bed, but I got up to 86%. This is chapter 3 of this first volume. I'm assuming there'll be like chapter 4, 5, 6 in the next volume. I think it is only a 2-volume series, but I'm not entirely sure. I know that they've announced 2, so maybe there's more and I just don't know it. But yeah, this one's an interesting one so far. I'm not entirely sure what the mystery is going to be because, well, I do, like, it's a missing person one, but the person did go missing, but I'm not sure if it's like a house thing. I'm assuming it's going to be a person related thing. But it's just the two of them on another wee adventure to find a mystery and solve it. That's I'm already like, Love it. It's great. Anyway, I've got my jam donut. I got sausage rolls from Greg's, but I also got some jam donut and a coffee because it's needed. And I'm just going to sit here and finish this morning. And have a little 11s. Well, it's not quite 11s yet. And have a wee break and do this. I've been up already doing some other things today, but I haven't actually eaten anything. So yeah, we're gonna get this finished. So that's me finished. I got my 100% done. It ended in a way that I kind of thought it was going to, which is good, but it also ended with a little bit more information about Takatsuki and why he is the way he is as a person, which was good because you kind of want to know these things. But yeah, this is only chapter 3, and it is very much like episode of some sort of mystery, and the two of them go off and try and figure it out, and generally it ends up being human reasoning. But there's these two people who have things that are mysterious about them that may not necessarily be human intervention, but especially for Naoya, it seems we as the audience are very aware of what happened to him, and what he can do seems like there's only a supernatural reasoning behind it. And Akira Takatsuki has other things that also seem like they could be a supernatural, which is what I love. It's that ambiguity of oh, is this a supernatural thing, or is this just, humans being assholes? And I like that about Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, because there's a lot of things that are just people being assholes, but also have a supernatural bent to them. And I liked that in Jeweler Richard, there was things that also just kind of had a sort of mystery to them, but also generally seemed to have the human condition at heart within that. So I do think if you are fans of Jeweler Richard and The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, you will very much enjoy Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. And this is folklore studies, so there will be a volume 2, but I can't remember what the subheading is, but it will still be Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture, but it will have a different subheading. And I will very much be looking forward to reading that one, because this is exactly my kind of story. In terms of the writing, it is very light novel-y. I do think that it is very unsophisticated in the writing, and the way that it expresses it. So I would say it's at a reading level that is not 100% adult. So it's not sophisticated in any way. It could have been made more so, but then I think that would be more difficult for a general wide audience to access. And so I do think this is quite good. I would say this is like a middle grade YA-ish kind of reading level. So yeah, perfectly acceptable for teenagers to be able to read, no issues. So adults can read it. You won't feel like you're you won't feel like you're maybe reading at your level if you're an adult my age, like an old lady. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. There was very little I can't say that, it's a bit of a spoiler. There was very little of Naoya being absolutely necessary in this last chapter. But the fact that it didn't, whatever he doesn't occur is the main thing, especially when he's being told certain things from people. The fact that he I know I can't say this. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it. It's great. I enjoyed it a lot. This has been fun for me. I do think that I've enjoyed reading from Edelweiss. I have one more thing on Edelweiss at the moment, because you can see I've got 5 there. So I have to write my reviews and get these up now. But I have one more thing that is not a Yen Press title. So I have really enjoyed all of my Yen Press titles. I like the fact that this is a mystery, and I've enjoyed it. So yeah, I definitely will need to pick this up in physical format when I get a chance. And I will continue to use Edelweiss and see if I can get hold of some things as well. So just like NetGalley, I am giving myself more opportunities to read things, but also to feel the pressure of getting them read because I've committed to reading them. And I'm feeling that particularly at the moment with NetGalley. I have a whole stack of books that I need to read and I haven't read them yet. But yeah, I'm happy that I've enjoyed my Yen Press titles. I think they've all been really interesting. I definitely think that the adaptations, the manga adaptations, don't quite hit the same as an original. And the summer that Hikaru died is like a really interesting one. So yeah, that's my main recommendation. Although personally for me, Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture and the Hikaru manga, both of them have aspects that I love. So they're definitely the kind of thing that I enjoy. Although the Manner of Death was also a mystery. I've just been enjoying all of these. This has just been having a great time. This has actually been a really great reading experience. And of course, you know, a bit of Aki character design as well. So generally, on the whole, I've had a great reading of Yen Press titles, which just makes me think I'm definitely going to have to invest more in the Yen Press that are being released physically and add it to my collection. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. A bit of a shorter, I don't know, question mark, vlog, and not actually much in the way of me going out and about. So I didn't really show you very much about my life. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you've taken some of the recommendations on board. Get them all. Buy them all. This is like a 4, maybe 4.5 star. I enjoyed it a lot, so I will definitely want to read the next one. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!